Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the New Jersey Devils. As this should be a little bit more of a solemn video. You know, maybe some like sad music where they've got the dogs, upset in the background and this and that. I mean, this is kind of the Devils right now. This is an organization that, the first couple of the games of the season, they were saying, fire Lindy. Then all of a sudden they go on a 13-game winning streak and they're saying, we love you, Lindy. We're sorry, Lindy. And now they're where they're at. And that is where we kind of thought they could end up. So unfortunately, that 13-game winning streak earlier this season, they were, at that time, 16-3-0. They went on a string of games that was really incredible. I mean, that 16-game stretch, in that, they lost 3 games of, 16. And, that doesn't happen. They were really good that first stretch of the season, and then things fell apart. And where they're currently at, I think, is more frustrating because it's the way that they've done it. You look at some of the stats, it's not like they're that bad. It's just things have not gone their way. And maybe it's a little bit of the lack of maturity of this team, and that's definitely a factor for the Devils, but it's definitely been frustrating to watch this team. So you look at so they had the 13-game winning streak. Since then, things have completely turned on the Devils, and they had a 6-game losing streak in there. And after going 16-3-0, their record currently is 24-12-3. Now, that record in itself is not bad. 51 points. They're one of the very few teams that has hit the 50-point mark this season. They're still second in the Metropolitan Division, but that's kind of where the positivity ends. Teams have caught up. Carolina went on, I think they're on like a 17 or 18 game point streak right now, and winning 11 in a row or some crazy number like that. That doesn't help things. The fact that all the teams behind them, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Islanders, the Rangers, are all right there with them, it has reason for concern for the Devils. And the fact that they have lost, I think, 11 straight on home ice at the Prudential Center is even more alarming. And that's where, when you have home ice advantage and you can't win those games at home, it makes the magnitude of winning those games on the road that much more, and that's not easy to do. So we're going to take a look at some of the key things here. So we're going to start off with some of the stats. So the first stats, goals for and goals against. They're top 10 in both categories. Goals for, 132 goals this season, which is 8th best in the National Hockey League, which is pretty impressive, and something the Devils have struggled with in the past, not this season. And what's even more interesting is their goals against. They've given up 103 goals this season, which is a plus 29 on the season compared between goals for and goals against. That is 3rd best in the entire National Hockey League. So their goals against, that is good goaltending and somehow a really good defensive structure, which we haven't talked about for the Devils in a very long time. And when you watch some of their games, you're like, there's no way they're 3rd best in the league in goals against, but they are. Now, another kind of interesting thing here is you look at their power play and penalty kill, their special teams. Their power play is just a little under league average at 20%, and their penalty kill is very much above average. The average penalty kill is around 77%, a little over that. The Devils are pretty much 4% over that. They're 81.5% on the penalty kill. So again, that's part of the reason their goals against is so good and so low, is they're very good on the penalty kill. They're getting they're getting above league average goaltending, which is something the Devils have not had in a very long time. So that obviously plays a factor. I mean, the Devils are just, that's kind of the frustration here, right? Like, those stats would say this is a team that's a pretty good team. But I think the problem is it's more along the lines of, oh no, recently they haven't been doing that. And I think that's where your concern is. That a lot of that good stuff came during that 13-game winning streak. And since then, it's been a little bit more like they're falling down the stats a little bit. But again, you look at some of these games, I mean, you look at the points. I mean, they're getting the points, right? I mean, Jack Hughes with 46 points. He's got 24 goals. Jesper Bratt with 39 points in 39 games. Nico Heishier's right around a point per game. Dougie Hamilton's right around a point per game. Dawson Mercer has come out of the scene and played really well. Miles Wood is looking more like his old self. We're seeing some production from the younger guys like Fabian Zetterlund, a little bit from Alexander Holtz and Kevin Ball on the blue line, stacking it up. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you want to see from I almost said the Capitals because I saw Vitek Vanacek. This is the stuff you want to see from the Devils. And, I think you saw some of that promise last year from how good the Utica Devils played. But we're seeing that kind of come up in the NHL. Now, here's from watching some of the highlights from the Devils and watching some of their games, some of the things that I've broken down. They've gotten good goaltending for the most part. There's obviously been some breakdowns from Mackenzie Blackwood and Vanacek here and there where they have a theme of giving up goals late in periods or early in periods, and that's kind of been a momentum killer for the Devils, whether to start a period or to end a period. They can keep the puck out of the net. Obviously, with the good penalty kill and their, goals against being very low, there is optimism there and a sense that maybe Lindy Ruff's structure is working a little bit. They can score goals. So obviously keeping the puck out of the net is good, and scoring goals obviously helps. Takes a little pressure off the goaltending and defense, and, they've been able to put the puck in the back of the net, obviously led by, some of the key guys like Hamilton and Hischier and Bratt, and of course, Jack Hughes. Too many momentum swings. I kind of mentioned that earlier, and that's more of a broad brush of how things have gone for the Devils. But, too many momentum swings. I've seen a lot of games where the Devils will have a clear power play. And maybe it's a phantom penalty or something like that, but they get the power play. And then they proceed to take a penalty on that power play and automatically squash and kabush all the momentum they have, and it's 4-on-4 hockey. So, the Devils have struggled with that, and that's been a real concern for them. But again, some of it, is it all their control? Not necessarily, but killing good momentum. And again, just giving up goals early in periods, early in the game, late in the period to kill momentum, those are also part of the issue. And kind of leading into this as well, key mental errors, and bad penalties late in games. And the most recent example, shout out to Ken Danico, his numbers hung in the, is in the arena there in the Prudential Center for a reason. And, people are critical of him. He's obviously the voice of the Devils, bias, of course, like any other broadcaster would. But he's, they played the Hurricanes the other day, and I almost went to that game. I should have went to that game. I decided not to, and I kind of regret that because that ended up being a great game. But the Devils, if I'm right, they had, I think it was like a 5-on-3 power play. It was one of the weirdest things, and then, well, no, they had a 5-on-4 power play, and then next thing you know, they took like 3 straight penalties, right? So they had the equal them up call. Then there was like a weird, I think it was like too many men on the ice. Then there was right after that, Ryan Graves dumping the puck out, and he throws it right over the glass for a delay of game. Like mental errors. And, the Devils, who were leading that game 4-3, they fought so hard in that game to get that lead. Ultimately for Carolina to tie that game and just kill all the momentum they had. And they end up losing that game in a shootout. And it's one of those things where Carolina, yes, Carolina's a very good team. And you can't afford to have those mental errors against a team like Carolina right now. Especially Carolina, but really any team. And I think that they let a point get away from them. And in that sense, because it's a divisional opponent, they technically let 2 points get away from them. That's a point they gave to Carolina that they didn't get. So technically that's a 2-point gap now between them and the team they're chasing for first place in their division. So those are the little things that add up over a season, and that's what's kind of happened for the Devils. Now here's the good news for the Devils. If you're looking for some kind of solace and to, kind of stoically, wrap your head around maybe what the future is. Well, the future is here now, and we're seeing some of it, right, from Hischier and Hughes and Sharangovich and Zetterlund and Graves and Holtz and this and that. But there's still guys in the wings coming up for the Devils. Alexander Holtz getting some experience, like we mentioned. Kevin Ball, I've seen teams kind of trying to push him around. And that's another part of this that I want to talk about for the Devils. The physicality side has been an issue for the Devils. I think teams have kind of keyed on Jack Hughes and specifically Nico Hischier. We saw a couple weeks ago Matthew Tkachuk kind of getting in Hischier's way and kind of giving him cheap shots and going after him. And the Devils don't have that sort of the patrol guy, that Ryan Reeves, that guy that's going to kind of fix some of the issues. They don't really have that, and teams are taking advantage of that. But with that said, Kevin Ball, Simon Nemec, their second overall pick in this past year's draft, potentially making his NHL debut. I would like to see him at some point this spring, but let's be honest, more likely it'll be next spring. He needs another year of development. I say that begrudgingly because my dream would be to see him this year, but again, we're going to see him at some point here, whether it's this year or next year, in the New Jersey Devils sweater. So we'll see how things go there. And Luke Hughes, who should be coming very, very soon for the Devils. So obviously there's some excitement there. We've heard some recent reports that he's getting ready to come to New Jersey here in the very near future. And the fact he just finished up with Team USA in the World Juniors, I think that is getting more and more of a reality for Devils fans, is to see Luke Hughes and the Hughes brothers playing together in Newark, New Jersey here this spring. So that is something to be excited for. But, can the reinforcement... Oh, man. This is my 8th video today, so I'm a little bit out of it. But can the reinforcements come in fast enough for the Devils is the real question here. And I think the Devils have a chance to make the playoffs, but it is going to be difficult, especially in that Metropolitan Division. We're looking at a scenario where both wildcard spots are filled by Metro Division teams, and with how Buffalo and Florida play down the stretch, it could make things more interesting. But let me know what you guys think down below. Are you very concerned here for the Devils? Like, here we go again. This is just how the Devils are. Are you concerned but optimistic in the sense they still can make the playoffs? Or do you think, listen, we've had a rough stretch here, but this is a different team, and we're going to get out of this? Let me know what you guys think down below. And guys, remember what Jack Hughes said 2 years ago, right? Last season? He said, we want to be playing meaningful games in the spring. And the Devils sort of did that last year, but I think this year they want to get closer to that. And we'll see if they can do that. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.